Hi, this is Dr. Leslie Manson.
I'm Dr. Mark Rudy.
I'm Dr. Freitas.
This is Dr. Nick.
Dr. Curry.
Just wanted to let you know that if you need us, we're still here.
Estamos aquí.
We're still here.
We're still here.
We're still here for you.
We mental health providers of Arizona wanted to extend our warm support and these brief educational videos to reduce stress and navigate challenges. If you need help, please reach out. We're still here for you.
Hello there, my name is Dr. Nick Arndt. Welcome and thanks for joining us. I am a psychiatrist in training, and today I'm so happy to have my program director, Dr. Curry, with me today. I'll let him introduce himself a little bit more.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Jason Curry. I'm a clinical assistant professor here at the Banner University Medical Center, and as Dr. Arndt said, the program director for the University of Arizona Psychiatry Residency here in Tucson. Good morning.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to switch the view a little bit. So I know that today you wanted to talk a little bit about psychological first aid and how that could be helpful for people that are looking for resources and maybe also wondering how they can help others that are in need. But I guess just to start, can you tell us, like, what is psychological first aid? What does that mean?
That's a great place to start. Yes, so psychological first aid is a technique or system to deliver care during or in the aftermath of a disaster incident. And it's care that's delivered in a humane way that is community oriented and culturally sensitive.
Okay. And is this like something that's known to be used for disasters in the past, or it's been something that's like utilized for hurricanes, things like that?
It's utilized for all different sorts of disasters, whether they're natural disasters like geological disasters or major storms, or even more human-generated disasters, things like wars or financial crisis. So it has applicability in a lot of different areas, and it's been used for a very long time, even by large organizations, including the CDC and also the World Health Organization.
Mm-hmm. So I know kind of what the United States is like with the pandemic is very different than what I might see in an earthquake or a hurricane or a fire. So I guess just my question is, how would psychological first aid be helpful for people that are in stressful times right now, and how is it applicable here?
Yeah, we do see that there are different ways that different places or regions are responding to our present crisis, being the pandemic and COVID-19. Part of the reason for differences in the approach could be related to approaching a community in a way that would be most beneficial to them, or in a way that is most culturally relevant to the needs there. So we do see these natural differences as a result. But to your question about, well, what is the reason that this could be important or helpful during a time of crisis, is it helps people to connect with the resources that will be most meaningful for them.
Mm-hmm.
So as we may have been discussing earlier, that psychological first aid isn't a necessary approach to dealing with a disaster. And in many ways, it could be more of an umbrella term in terms of how resources or people are connected with the help that they need.
Mm-hmm.
So the three major components to psychological first aid are ones of assessment, calming, and linking people to the resources that they need. If you were to look at the language or the elements of psychological first aid, they say the first component is to look, meaning that when we approach people who are in need, that we assess whether or not they are currently safe. Are their physical and emotional threats taken care of in a way that we can engage them and everybody is safe around those things? So the first component is look. The second component would be to listen. Listen being offering that person an opportunity to share with those who are trying to help what the resources are that they need or what they believe would be most useful or beneficial to this in time. So second component being listen. The third being link or linkage. So when it comes to that person who's trying to help through this psychological first aid design, they would seek to link the resources necessary for that individual in their time of need that would be most beneficial to them, the things that are going to be most helpful. And that could be a variety of things. That could be emotional calming, that could be shelter, that could be food, that could be help with employment. But it's a matter of understanding what that person needs best in order to give them something that would be most useful for them at that time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that one of the challenges that we're facing now is that people have kind of holed up in their own homes and their own kind of silos, and they're not, congregating in a gymnasium like I might imagine. So in some ways, it's almost like people are left on their own in some ways to get connected to the places that they need. And it sounded like one of the messages you wanted to get across was if there are resources, all these new links that are out there, how one might engage in that and maybe what to look out for if it's a kind of a psychological first aid appropriate organization or resource.
That's a good point. We're finding that we're having to approach this crisis in a very different way, especially when a big part of staying safe has been distancing ourselves physically from one another or staying at home and at times isolating ourselves physically in that way. So it's hard to know, well, how do I reach out to these resources? And when I'm being educated about these, whether there are things that I'm seeing on social media, whether there are things I'm seeing on television, on websites, what are the ones that are going to be helpful? It might be good for us to understand, well, what are the tenets of psychological first aid to make sure that this resource is more likely to help me rather than to hinder me, harm me, or cause me any more further trauma. So there are certain do's and don'ts when it comes to psychological first aid, and some of the do's and don'ts might help us to know what are the best ways or what are the best resources for us.
I mean, I think what a lot of people wonder about is like, do I have to talk about all these things that I've gone through?
That's a great point, and that's actually a pretty essential do or don't when it comes to psychological first aid. It's really important that a person shares their story in a way that feels safe for them, that they are voluntarily sharing, and they're not forced to do that in any manner. So a big tenet for psychological first aid is that you allow the person who is looking for help to share their story and their information as they see fit and in a way that feels safe for them.
Mm. So it seems like for someone reaching out, one of the kind of red flags or kind of signs that this might not be a perfect resource is if they're feeling kind of pushed to open up when they don't feel ready.
Absolutely. That should be a big red flag that they shouldn't feel forced to provide information. And what should also be a large red flag is if they are required to provide the person any resource, financial gift, any contribution in order to receive help. When we're looking at PFA, we know that there should be no exploitation in the exchange of help. So a person should not be asked to provide any kind of financial support or material support in order to receive the help that they need.
Mm. So kind of all of the contacts out there, they would be free essentially, like government sponsored or sponsored by nonprofits or.
That would be the hope, with that they would be organizations that we know to be trustworthy and well established. But I think we're also finding in this era of COVID that a lot of new organizations are popping up. Very helpful organizations with good intent that are designed to provide good people, good help.
Mhm.
The trouble is that there's not a lot of history on these organizations. So it's important for people seeking help to kind of keep in mind these components of psychological first aid. Is that organization looking at what the need is and making sure that everybody is safe? Are they listening to me in a way that doesn't force me to provide information or share things I'm uncomfortable with? Are they allowing me to stay safe and not asking me to provide them with any contribution that would cause me to feel unsafe? And in that way, are they linking me with the things that we have mutually decided that I need in order to stay safe and healthy?
Mm-hmm. Well, Dr. Curry, I thank you so much for your time. I just want to ask, was there any kind of concluding remarks that you wanted to make?
Well, I think a great resource to look at, especially for people who are looking for help at the moment, would be calling 211 or 211arizona.org. That has a multitude of resources available, not just related to COVID-19, but there's resources there for shelter, for safety, for employment, for food security, and those are all available to people here in Arizona.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I know that we include those links at the beginning and the end of the video, so that's great that you're making a plug for the same resources that we've been talking about. So, well, thanks again, Dr. Curry, and have a great day.
Thanks, Dr. Arndt. Stay safe out there.
Bye now.
Just wanted to let you know that if you need us, we're still here.
Estamos aquí.
We're still here.
We're still here.
We're still here for you.
If you need help, please reach out. We're still here for you.